I love it. Hey, everyone. You're watching DeFi Talks with DeFi Dad. Hey, thanks for joining us. It's Wednesday, April 13th, 2022. Today, we're going to do one of my favorite things in the world, which is we're going to review a DeFi product live. And so I'm joined here by Gautham, who is one of the co-founders of Polynomial. Polynomial is, I think the best way to summarize it is it's a DeFi derivatives powerhouse that's built on Optimism or L2, an Ethereum L2. So we're going to talk about the new earn vaults that were launched. 2 of them were recently launched. And these are vaults that basically give you exposure to a put selling or a covered call option strategy. And so anyways, Gautham, thanks for joining me, man. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Thanks for having me here. Very excited.
Absolutely. Before we get started, too, just full disclosure, I did get to invest in the pre-seed round for Polynomial. Very proud to have been, on board with the team, but just wanted to disclose that in case I have any bias, of course, in talking about how wonderful I think they are as a team. So, anyways, Gautham, maybe you can give a little background as to what's the mission behind Polynomial, and then also I think people are always curious just to learn about you as a builder, the team, of co-founders that you work with, what were you guys doing before this?
Yeah, so primarily the main goal of Polynomial is to make derivatives better, so options primarily. And we started with the option market is slowly growing and rising over time, and it is going to be one of the biggest in DeFi, just like how it impacted the traditional finance as well. But the market is now at its nascent stage and it's highly inefficient. So we are trying to build products which improve the market and make the market more efficient, right? And yeah, so our first product is out, which is a earn vault, right? So what it does is it lets people who are not that familiar with options have a certain market direction in mind, and they can do a covered call vault or a put selling vault and then earn rewards on top of it. So we try to simplify options for the retail and try to also make options on the blockchain a bit better by doing it. That's the main goal. And yeah, so before our team, we've been in crypto from 2018, mostly going to ETH hackathons and building stuff. And it's been a while. And then me and my co-founders, we went to the same college and we known each other for a very long time. And one of the co-founders, Mubarak, he used to work at Instadap, and he was writing smart contracts there. And the other co-founder, Salman, he was a software engineer, and I was a machine learning engineer. And we were spending all of our time in DeFi and doing all those things during DeFi summer. And we were we need to make one of these awesome products. And initially, we just wanted to solve our point, which is we wanted to buy options on chain just to hedge our portfolio. And none of it worked at that time. And all of our efforts is to just solve it and make it better for other people.
Absolutely. Yeah. It was part of what drew me in with your team is, you are, I'll say, quote unquote, long-term DeFi users. You've been power users yourselves. And then, it's always I think a great story of founders building products that they know firsthand are actually needed because they've been those long-term users. Just a few questions more about the money Legos that are being used for Polynomial. So one other highlight I think of Polynomial is this is built to start on Optimism, which is an Ethereum L2. So we're benefiting from the speed and the low transaction costs on Optimism. But you're also making use of some synthetics derivatives, and you're also using Lyra. So anyways, I want you to be able to kind of tell that story of why use Lyra, what is Lyra, and also why use, synthetic ether versus the other form of ether on Optimism.
Yeah, this is one of the most beautiful things about DeFi, right? You can build on top of things which are built on top of things and have these like stacks of layers. So at our base layer, which is Optimism, and the benefit of using Optimism was L2s, and we know L2s are going to be the future because it brings the security of Ethereum, and also for a person who's coming new to DeFi, what they really care about is fast transactions and cheap gas. So Optimism really delivers on it, and we were L2 centric from the beginning. We were like, whatever we're gonna build, we will be building on an L2, right? And the second thing that we are building on is Lyra. So why we chose Lyra is that we were earlier like building an aggregator for options, and still building it. But the main thing we did was we looked at all the option protocols, and we wanted to make our vaults which sell options through a protocol on chain, right? So when we looked at all of them, Lyra seemed to be the best candidate at this point of time. So what our vaults essentially do is when people deposit money into any of the vault, let's say it's a covered call vault, every week it sells the option to Lyra's AMM over a large period of time to avoid slippage, and that's like how we achieve it. So we're building on top of Lyra, and Lyra is built on top of synthetics, so it gives you the added advantage of using synthetics assets, and that's like how polynomial is built.
Yeah. So to summarize, Lyra is an options trading protocol that exists on Optimism, and then Synthetics has opened up support for their derivatives, whether it's like a synthetic ether or they have like synthetic currencies as well. So there's all sorts of new strategies and vaults, which is basically the product here, that will likely get created in the future. I just wanted to share your screen here just for a minute. Anything to highlight here in terms of like what are we looking at in the future if I were interested in using one of these earn vaults? Like how do you go about getting into the vault? How do you use it?
Yeah, so options are majorly used when like you have a market condition, you have some market direction in mind. So let's take an example, right? So we have two vaults now, covered call and put selling. So both the vaults are filled, but let's say like when they open up, so this covered call vault is like ideal when it is like a moderately bullish or a Kankari or a bear market. But if it is like an extremely bullish market, these vaults will incur losses. So we try to like simplify these things for the user. And here you can like see what is the projected APY, which is basically what you will earn this week if these options expire out of the money and projected it to 1 year. And here you can see how the vaults work. And so what we do is we first select a strike price for each week. And so for this vault in this week, you can see it is 3,600 calls are sold, okay, and that strike price is selected, and the vault sells the option to Lyra's AMM over a very large amount of time. So you can see we are selling in batches of 10 options. It took like 6 hours to sell them, and a keeper bot does this, and then when the options expire, we settle it and we get back the collateral from the Lyra's AMM. And that's like and this process is repeated. Essentially what this means is the money gets compounded, and if you have a market direction in mind, and these vaults are like a very good way to like earn income on top of options if you have like ETH and it's just lying there.
Yeah, and so just a few other points to make if anyone later on, if you go and you learn more here at polynomial.fi. So these vaults just launched in the last like few weeks. So we're still in an early launch phase. There are caps because the code here, obviously, we're in the early phases of making sure everything works as intended. And so currently the vaults are completely filled. However, those caps will get raised in the coming weeks and months. Also worth noting, these strategies that are being automated for a covered call or a put selling strategy, this isn't like I'm lending to Aave, where essentially my principal, I'm almost guaranteed I'm going to get my principal back unless there was like an exploit on something like Aave. make sure if you learn about this, this is these are selling options. So like you can lose money on this. And I just want to note that in case there's any like newer DeFi users. But
Yeah.
that also too is I think part of the reason there's potentially higher yield on these. And also reminder as always, none of this is financial advice, and you should, do your own
Yeah.
research, make your own decisions about whether or not you participate in this in the future. But yeah, Gautham, anything else there to note about the strategies for the covered call or put selling?
Yeah. Like one of the main difference, like things that we innovated was that earlier there were vaults, and our vault is a first fully on-chain vault, right? We try to do everything in a DeFi native way, and the difference is that it is still a covered call vault, and covered call vaults are risky, and you need to do a bit of reading before like aping into it, like you said. And if options expire out of the money, you will lose money. So you need to understand the risk and then only like use these walls. And we try to simplify it as much as we can. We like um, explain it for like a normal user, and we like have risk everywhere written. Please like go through it and then only like use it. Is like the main thing I also want to say.
Yeah, and if you have questions about this too, you can hop over to polynomial.fi. There's a lot to read there in the documentation, but I would encourage anyone to pop in the Discord, because there's going to be users like myself in there that might be able to help, but also the team is going to be really helpful in answering questions. So I mean, end of day, like I think the goal here is you're automating strategies that would require a lot more time and effort and expertise. And so it lowers the barrier to entry. It lives up to all the principles, I think, of what we're trying to build with DeFi, which is, you're helping people save time, save money, and be able to like access new things that they otherwise couldn't do without automated money software. So, Gautam, anything else to note here? I think we just about covered it. I mean, do you have any like expected timeline on when new vaults or the caps will raise on some of these vaults?
Yeah. So one of the things that are like coming new is we're building on top of Lyra. Lyra is doing an upgrade to Avalon. What that means for so there will be like two changes with it. One is a decrease in delta cutoff and addition of partial collateralization. For a layman, what this means is we can take lower risk and get higher reward. Like it take far away strike price and then have the same amount of yield. So that is something that we will be having. And so because of that, it will take a bit of time. So we will be migrating and increasing the gap only after like a month or two. So there will be a bit of delay. And one of the things that we are also excited is we are like looking at building like newer strategies. Like this covered call or put selling are strategies which have a certain direction in mind, right? Like covered call you put when you don't think it is going to pump way too much, right? So similarly, like we will be having delta neutral strategies which combine perpetual futures from Quenta and Lyra, and we want to make more strategies in which a user just has a market direction in mind. He can just come pick up a vault, deposit asset, and then everything else is automated for him. That's like the main thing. We don't essentially tell user what to use. It's up to the user to decide what they think about the market, what they want to do, and we just provide tools to simplify it for them using derivatives.
Absolutely, yeah, yeah, and I don't want to skip over just the benefits of the fact this is all since it's all built on Optimism. You're paying
Yes.
minimal network fees. I think in most cases you're paying a few cents, at most I think $1 in fees if it's really congested, and then
Yeah.
obviously it's quick and easy to deposit into the vaults.
Also, like let's say ETH is like pumping like very high, right? And if you are on an L1, so what will happen is you are like gas is quite high. So to withdraw from the vault, it will cost a lot of money. It can
Right.
sometimes be as much as the yield you made, right? If you are on Optimism, it will be just one click and it will be very cheap, and it will be like better for the user as well, right? Like so
Right.
now there is no gas spike, but gas spike happen. That's when you wanna like use these walls. shift around, like go to another vault and all those things. So in the longer term, we think like building on top of Optimism is the most beneficial for the user, right?
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. I mean, it's the future. Everything's going to
Yeah.
get built on L2 in the end. But want to remind then everyone they can follow you here and Polynomial on Twitter. You can learn more here at polynomial.fi. And then if you enjoyed the interview and want to learn more about DeFi, Web3, crypto, you can subscribe at defidad.com. Also, if you're a builder like Gautham, please reach out to me and my team at fourthrevolution.capital. We'd love to potentially partner and work with you building that future. So, Gautham, thanks so much for your time, man. I'm going to just end the broadcast here, and everyone, we'll see you soon. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Bye.